Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with someone else, especially if they're really anxious. Anxious about, or stressed out, angry, agitated, upset, whichever words you want to use, about the results from yesterday's election. Haha, yeah. You knew I probably would talk about this, right? Because it concerns your health. Honestly, I don't really necessarily want to discuss like who should have won or who, like, yay, this person won or whichever. Quick note, I did film this part too, so I have no idea. Although if I tried to, say right now and then it actually happens, got a 50-50 shot of being right? Anyway, yeah, so these things definitely cause stress. Heck, the American people have been frustrated, stressed, anxious, worried, concerned over this election for months, for really probably a year, honestly. And if you're one of them, totally understandable. I'm not denying that it can bring up stress and anxiety, especially when it comes to a big election as the presidency. Not to get heavily into any political talk, because this is about health and fitness, but I do want to talk about the pieces about anxiety. And if you're watching this, and this is like months or a year from now, and obviously you're done past the whole thought of the election, this is still useful information, because anxiety, depression, stress, worry are very prevalent things in a huge portion of the population. Whether or not it's acute, which would be in medical terms a short-term diagnosis, or a chronic issue, which is a long-time problem. So let me first dive into that. So acute anxiety or stress or whatever you want to call it, worry, would be in reference to something that, for example, the election, where it is a more focal point of time, and like for example yesterday to the results of today. So definitely something that can cause stress to anybody. Chronic would be something where someone actually has a problem with anxiety or stress a decent amount of their time, or if you want to go medically, that could be if you're having something that's causing you stress or anxiety for, I think they say 2 weeks or more, which a lot of people actually they changed what term is chronic. But anyway, with it being said, I will personally use my own story of dealing with anxiety and stress, like I've said in the past, with the 4 major pieces that really affect our overall health that we want to focus on: sleep, stress management, diet, and exercise. Stress management is definitely my huge thing that I struggle with on a regular basis. So I most definitely would consider myself as having an anxiety problem, and it just comes here and there. I will definitely say it's things that we can apply to both of them that are similar, but if you have this continual issue, you do want to have your toolbox more than just a hammer. What do I mean by that? You know, probably heard the saying that says, if your only tool in the toolbox is a hammer, the world's a nail. It's more useful to have other tools, because you're not going to be very successful with a hammer to a screw. Yeah, sure, you can try to hammer the screw into the piece of wood, but it's not going to go well because the grooves, it's not going to go in straight, as well as trying to pull the screw out. It'd be easier to, again, use a screwdriver, or trying to use a hammer in reference to, let's just use any other situation. If you just have a hammer and no band-aids, the hammer ain't going to do nothing in that situation. Or dislocated shoulder, hammer's still not going to be useful. I know these are comical thoughts of like trying to see a hammer being used for any of these, but you want to have more in your toolbox when it comes to dealing with stress and anxiety than just one go-to. So let's talk about a few things that you could use that will help you deal with the situation. One thing that is definitely like a broad statement would be doing mindfulness exercises. Mindfulness exercises would be, like, for example, one would be, 10 deep breaths. So we're going to try to take 10 deep breaths. While you're doing it, you're trying to slow down the breathing. You can even think, make it a rhythmic thing where it's inhale through your nose, exhale through your mouth. Special note, there's no like crazy scientific thing where it's inhaling through your nose, exhaling through your mouth that makes it better. Like, it's not just, it becomes a rhythmic thing. It's a little easier to control in that stressful moment. As well as using a mindfulness exercise for anxiety would be taking the leaf in the river, allowing those thoughts that are anxiously bothering you or stressing you out, and imagine them as leaves in the river, and letting them pass by, and understanding, like, okay, they exist, okay, that leaf exists, it's there, but I'm not going to attach myself to that thought. I'm going to let it kind of move by with the current, move on to the next thing, and it potentially will come back, yes, but allowing it to let go and attach yourself to looking at, okay, the next thing, and getting good at that. It's going to take practice. It's not like it's a immediate response that's going to help amazingly at first. As well, another useful tool is with mindfulness would be doing some meditation. So concentrating on, let's take that breathing thing of counting to 10, concentrating on how each breath feels. Concentrating on taking that a little bit further on focusing yourself and how you're feeling in that moment. So, okay, how's my feet feeling? So, like, you wiggle your toes, okay, like be aware, like become aware of how you feel in your body. Okay, how's my ankles? How's my calves, my shins? Moving up and just taking mental note and thinking only objectively. You literally can go from the feet all the way up to your head. And doing this, like another tool, you can do this like closing your eyes. I'm not going to demonstrate that right now. Driving. Oh yeah, quick note, don't do this while driving. This specific one. You do the breathing one and counting to 10. Don't do the close eyes while driving. I think it's obvious. But then again, I also think someone standing in front of a dumbbell rack right in front of it doing dumbbell curls is obvious when they're blocking the way. close your eyes while driving. Also, don't do what I do in several of my videos where I take my hands off the steering wheel with both hands. That's not useful either. With another one that would be a useful tool to helping out is, let's say I'm going to talk to my own personal issues. Like, say I'm going into a stressful environment. Maybe because the holidays are coming, Thanksgiving is coming up, you're going to potentially get together with family members that you may have not seen, or maybe you don't get along with all the time. Especially since we're coming off of this election, potentially going to have to deal with people today at work that are going to talk to you about politics, or maybe you're going to have to talk about something uncomfortable. Maybe you have a presentation you have to do. Something you can do, and I've done this before in the past, is create a plan going into this situation. And the better prepared you are, and it may sound silly, like, I'm just going to a person's house, what plan can I come up with? Just think about being objective. Okay, when I go in, and just give yourself something to do, a task to do. So I'll use an example. Doing this, going to someone's house. I remember, I don't even remember what the event was, but I remember using it. Certain events most definitely raise anxiety for me. I haven't noted it. Obsessive compulsive. Don't wish that upon anyone. So going into someone's house, and maybe the thought is, okay, so when I walk in, I'm going to do 10 breaths, count to 10, 2 deep breaths before I walk in through the door. And as I walk through the door, I'm going to have a pet, so I'm going to find the pet, or the dog's going to find me, or whatever. Pet the pet. Okay. Task 1 done. I'm going to say hi to everyone. 2 done. Take my jacket off. Find a place to. I'm going to pinpoint a spot that I already know about their house, and find a spot. Do that. And then, okay, so we're having dinner together. I'm going to make sure that I'm prepared. I find out what they're having beforehand, so I can go ahead and have that out of the way. I'm prepared. I know what I'm eating. I know how to prepare ahead if I don't like the food or whatever. I can maybe eat beforehand so that I'm not as hungry. Placing pinpoints of things that you can do ahead of time. And of course, with a presentation, you can easily, of course, prepare. And then when you have the anxiety about the situation, reminding yourself that, okay, I prepared, I did everything I needed to do beforehand, I'm as prepared as I can be, there's no need to worry because I've practiced, I got this, and kind of doing, which steps into another example, which would be like affirmations. Doing affirmations, potentially making that a daily thing that you do, especially if you struggle with this negative self-thought, negative self-talk, would be potentially useful starting your day, looking in the mirror, and having a montage for yourself. Now I hear Rocky music coming on. But having a montage or this positive self-talk to yourself, affirmations, however you want to think of it, doing that before you go into it. And going above than just saying, I'm good at this. I mean, of course you can start there. Really get into the thought objectively of things that would be positive to say to yourself. So those are a few ways that you can help yourself move through stress and anxiety throughout the day. Now let's back out and let's look at this stress of the specifics of a election like that, or maybe some result, if you watch this in the future, that could apply the same. So maybe if there's a a sporting event, like the Super Bowl, your team lost, or you didn't get the promotion at work, or some other fill in the blank situation that would be very big, major. Some of you wondering why I use the Super Bowl as one. To some people, that is very major. So I use that to preface what I'm about to say. So when you go mentally into this situation, the first thing you want to do is think objectively. That will be very hard, especially when it comes to this election, because most of us are going to have some form of opinion or personal feelings stir up. But let's become objective, take a 10,000 foot look at the situation. Okay, how will this positively affect my life, my individual life? How will it negatively affect? You have to accept reality that there are negatives to each potential choice and positives. And then what can I do about this? And if the answer is nothing, that this is outside of my actual control, then the answer is I need to realize I have no control of this. I need to let go of the stress and anxiety because I don't have the ability to do something about it. Now let's say it's something you can do something about it, or maybe you can think of something that you can do about it. Create a plan. I'm just going to use those 3 examples I gave. So the election, the Super Bowl, and missed a promotion. Now most definitely there's a negative solutions. But let's think about this. So let's take from backwards. Watching this day of, definitely want to talk about the election. So let's go backwards. Let's start with the promotion. The promotion, a response to that would be, okay, I can't change the decision. I'm not the person who chooses. But what I can do is find out why maybe I was turned down on the promotion. What could I do to potentially get the promotion in the future? So finding out some information. Another thing is, okay, what I'm going to do is not freak out. I'm going to try to continue just to do my job to the best of my ability and go from there. I have a personal actual experience of this. So I was turned down on a position twice, the same position. I remember going for it. And yes, of course, you're going to have negative thoughts to this situation. I can look back, of course, hindsight is always 20/20. I can look back and go, yeah, could have handled it better in my attitude towards it. But you can't deny that you're going to have a frustration towards it. What doesn't change is what you do. So, your response should be, not reaction, but response should be to continue to do your job well. I'll use my example. I may have done my job, but what was a negative response was my attitude in the situations, like say meetings and things. Just allowing it to go, okay, missed the opportunity, oh well, deal with it by understanding what can I do better or potentially seek other avenues. Looking back, I can see it was a good thing. Glad I didn't get it. because I wouldn't have ventured probably into my own on like business-wise. And most definitely wouldn't have the job I have currently either, outside of my own business. So outside of that, looking at the potential opportunities that you have would be a better way, not what I did in the moment, better way to learn from my mistake. With that, there is potentials in that situation to have something you can do and have a plan, and then you go, cool, solution, got it. Another thing to look at it is on the that you are going to have emotions to it, and accepting that those emotions do exist. Don't try to hide, like just push them down. You got to deal with those emotions, but finding a solution, typically you're giving yourself something to do. An idle mind is the devil's workshop, so to speak. So giving yourself solutions and something to do is useful. So let's turn to the Super Bowl. So this is going. I purposely chose something you can't do something about. Unless you're on an NFL football team or work for an NFL organization, you can't really do much. So what is the response? It's out of my control. Okay, accept that it's out of my control. I emotionally am hurt. Maybe my team lost. I'm frustrated. Maybe you don't agree with some of the calls. But now it's over. Let's move on and look at what's in the future. What does this result do to my life? I still have my job. I still have my fill in the blank. Your family, your whatever, et cetera, et cetera. In that response, you can go, okay, well, those things, let me take care of my responsibilities. And it's always next year. You can root for them. Somebody's going to be upset I say this, but I'll use it as an example, kind of like Cowboy fans. We'll get it next year. Your response to it, and actually in reality, that's kind of actually a good point. So something with that is, with the last one is the election. Get to the point. So with that, with the election, unless you're in politics, the response is going to be to, one, realize, okay, the choices have been made. We have to live with it. Regardless if you want, we can do what a lot of people are going to do, which is, they cheated, or blah, 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 fill in the blank. Irregardless of that, we live with what the results are and move past that towards, okay, what can I do? One, how does this actually affect me and my family right now? An election potentially could, because of what could policies and things that could happen. Okay, I have to choose whether or not I'm going to stress over the potential chance that these policies could be passed, regardless of, again, local, state, election to obviously federal. So these things could be passed, but what can I do? What can I do right now? You can do, like I said, the things that started out with, stress and anxiety, calm yourself down, and realize that it's not really something you can do potentially now, but you can vote as you move forward. For local elections, if you've never done that, that's some of the biggest things that will make a difference, because the people who start the local elections typically move up to state level and so on. So think of that. Every single time there's a local election, every single time there's a policy being voted on, and make your voice heard. voting is very, very important. So don't just not vote, even if you don't like either candidate. Biggest thing you can do is vote, even if that means you write in. Still voting and putting your voice out there. Till next time, y'all. Start practicing where I said at the beginning, as I'll try to as well.